Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we're talking powers, or rather heroes without them. Instead, it's an examination of which heroes are better without powers, either because it makes them more interesting or because they can't handle them, or both. And no, they're not all going to be members of the Bat family, though there will be more than one member on this list. It's inevitable. I'm Sasha and these are the top 10 superheroes who are better without superpowers. Also, disclaimer, you may completely disagree and that's 100% fine. Everybody likes different arcs. There's no need to burn it all down. I mean, unless you just want to watch the world burn. Let's get started. Number 10. Lex Luthor. Now I can hear you. Are you okay? This is a superheroes list. I knew it. She was a fake gamer girl the entire time, and she moves her hands too much. Well, hold your horses because Lex has been good before. Debuting in Action Comics number 23 back in 1940, Lex has undergone a fair few changes over the course of his existence, and he bears little resemblance to how he first started out. Literally. Goodbye, Ginger Lex. So when was Lex good? Well, most recently Rebirth, after the death of the New 52 Superman, who was not the Rebirth Superman who was classic Superman, who was still alive but not active as he was living his best life with Lois and their son John. So Lex decided to become the protector of Metropolis, donning a silver suit a little reminiscent of Steel's, and with his resources, intellect, and prior experience as a supervillain, he was a force to be reckoned with. Although Hero Lex does have to contend with people being justifiably very suspicious of him, especially Clark. Now Lex has never needed powers to accomplish anything he's done, so his heroic turn was no different, but it must be said that one of the great things about villain Lex is that tragic knowledge we all have that as a hero he could do so much good. But his Clark obsession, cause you'll never be able to convince me he hasn't always known Clark as Superman, will be his undoing. I don't care the era, time period, or comic, Lex knows. Changed my mind. Number 9. Galahad. This is on here because I want to tell you about Insufferable. So Insufferable was a purely digital comic, though it was later released in trade paperback form. It was written by Mark Waid and released by Thrillbend, and it started in 2012. It's kinda tapered off because digital wasn't exactly as huge a hot commodity as they anticipated. People read it, but there will always be something about holding it and knowing that no one can just delete it and you'll never be able to access it again. PT anyone? So this series centered around the broken relationship of a superhero dynamic duo, a father and son team. For our purposes, we need to talk about the son, Galahad, the former sidekick, who outed his superhero identity and his father's by proxy when he quit the team in a huff in public. He used his newfound notoriety to relaunch himself as a brand and start a company, endorsements, a full-blown social media presence. That's Galahad. This story is interesting in how it incorporates social media, with the public slowly turning against Galahad and him having set up a life where he has no escape. He's better without powers because with them, well, he wouldn't get into half the troubles he does, and people would probably turn on him less fast. His humanity and, well, frankly, jerkiness make him easy to meme on. The first arc of this series was interesting. Check it out if you haven't. Number 8. The Question. I'll take all the questions here, but my heart belongs to the first question, Vic Sage. Admittedly, largely because of the Justice League Unlimited series. Did you know he was voiced by Jeffrey Combs? All my worlds colliding. The Question made his first appearance in Blue Beetle number 1 back in 1967. The Question wears an artificial skin made of an adhesive bandage-like material to keep his identity secret, or a question. Okay, I'll stop. His appeal is that you get a different kind of story with The Question, a more classic hard-boiled detective story, but he moves in the world of superheroes, so he has to be smart and keep his nose to the ground to find the information he needs and not be totally annihilated by people with powers. He's trained himself up, but even so, he's not going to be dodging bullets anytime soon. The Question is a nice change of pace, and with powers, he just wouldn't be the same. He may be more effective, but would he have the same charm? The first Question would pass on his mantle to Renee Montoya before dying of cancer, but then the New 52 and Rebirth happened, so he got better. But he's not the Question anymore. He's a government agent. It's not the same, and way too Mulder. They make him very conspiracy theoristy sometimes. Number 7. Wildcat. The first one who appeared in Sensation Comics number 1 back in 1942. Ted Grant is one of the core members of the JSA, the Justice Society of America, and yes, we're ignoring all the Tomahawk stuff. Shh, it never happened. So initially Wildcat had powers, kinda. He technically was gifted with 9 lives, but that's it. No super strength, no super agility, just an average Joe. So he trained himself up and is a world-class boxer who would go on to train next generation heroes like Batman, Black Canary, and Superman. And yet Harley's Black Book wants me to believe that Harley could take Clark in a fight. That story's from her perspective, so I'll let her have it, but sure Jan. Now there are multiple origins and versions of Ted, but a core throughout is his struggle because he doesn't have powers, because he he can be hurt because he's getting older and slowing down. No amount of lives is going to make you more effective in a fight if you're just aging out. WILDCAT is a good example of something DC does, or rather depending upon the comic, did well, and that is legacy characters, making characters evolve and pass down mantles and have to struggle with that. A powered WILDCAT isn't WILDCAT. It removes his struggle. Also, then the fights between him and Power Girl would be a lot worse. Number 6. Iron Man. He's so low on here because, well, with the amount of tech he has in him at this point, infused sometimes, he might as well have powers. His increased popularity thanks to the MCU has led to some character shifts in his comic version. However, fundamentally, Tony doesn't have powers. Everything he has been developed through his intellect and, yes, resources. So there's a sense of struggle. This was much more present when he needed his suit to live and couldn't even leave it for a time. He was dependent on these things. They weren't accessories, they were life-saving. He was making lemonade out of lemons. The fact that what he has is tech-based always means there's that fear that it could break or something else could go wrong. You know, like your suit gaining sentience and kidnapping you because it loves you and is super controlling and abusive. Iron Man is unique, as in a world of essentially gods just everywhere walking amongst us. Even as powered as he is, he's not that much in comparison, especially in the Marvelverse, and that's a terrifying thought. Number 5. Roy Harper /Speedy /Arsenal /Red Arrow /Arsenal. I can't even say his names, he's got too many. So Roy's first alias was as Speedy. He debuted in More Fun Comics number 73 back in 1941. He was 100% Robin, just like how Green Arrow isn't Batman. Ignore his arrow cave and aeroplane. Puns. They've diverged way more now, but at the beginning, we all know what was going on. However, Speedy would break out to become a compelling character, and lots of his struggles come from being powerless and trying to find his place in the world and having a terrible mentor. Because he has no powers, writers place him in scenarios they're less likely to place a powered hero in. For example, Roy's drug addiction, which is a short story and it's not even really about him until later. He would also go on to have a daughter with a villainess, though she has sadly been retconned out of existence after being killed. It was a whole thing. Roy's struggles were inherently relatable, and it made him really stand out from Dick as time went on. He's just more interesting without powers, as even though powered heroes can have all these struggles, you're already a bit distanced from them because of their power set. Though some people can relate to anything. The point is, Roy deserves more love, more than Ollie anyway. Number 4. Ted Kord, the Blue Beetle. So Ted Kord is the second Blue Beetle who first debuted in Captain Atom number 83 back in 1966. So the Blue Beetle has no powers, unlike his predecessor or successor. He was a skilled athlete and extremely smart, and had some resources, though not to like a Bruce Wayne level. But he had enough to create a Beetle-themed aircraft. He had been gifted with the scarab that had given his mentor Dan Garrett his powers, but he could never get it to work. But he never let that keep him down, fashioning himself as a hero around the same theme anyway. He would always endeavor to live up to the reputation of his mentor and keep up with the other heroes around him. His run on the JLI, the Justice League International, garnered him the reputation as a bit of a jokester, and he also for a time got out of shape. It's the Manhunter's fault, all those cookies. He would also end up making the ultimate sacrifice. Ted Kord is just an underappreciated character, and the fact that he has no powers and is kind of in a prove himself position always is part of what makes him who he is. And I say who he is because of course he's alive again. Number 3. The Punisher, Frank Castle. He's on a quest for vengeance and a hail of bullets. He first debuted in The Amazing Spider-Man number 129 back in 1974 as a villain, sent to take out Spider-Man. Now Frank would be a lot more terrifying with powers. He'd just be a killing machine. He needs that restriction because there's very little holding him back. It's comforting to know that there are people out there who can stop Frank, that there's checks and balances. Also, it turns Frank into one of those action movie characters, you know, the ones Death Wish, etc. It's an escapist fantasy, that idea that you could just go out there and deal your own justice on all the people who hurt you or your family or whatever foil there is. You just need some guns and a guy in a van. Actually, that's super dangerous. Frank, what are you doing? Number 2. Nightwing. I'm sure you were waiting for Nightwing. Dick Grayson. Rick Grayson can take several seats. Dick Grayson is the first sidekick, the first Robin, and he's one of the first characters to successfully transition into adulthood and a new identity. An all-around awesome character, even if he does sometimes suffer a bit from golden child syndrome. Nightwing not having powers is, well, it's part of him. He doesn't need them, they don't enhance his character in any way. In fact, the fact that he can be hurt is appealing. Okay, that sounds wrong, but you know what I mean. Dick Grayson is attainable, and it's part of what people like about him. He's a staple of the DC universe, and people don't like to see him too changed. It's why people hated Jason when he first showed up, or why even people inside DC itself fought to save him when Dan Didio wanted him to die in one of the crises. Dick Grayson, he's important. Number 1. Batman, the Dark Knight, the Caped Crusader. Okay, so the thing with Batman, let's take away the plot armor and the Mr. Contingency plan and just take him back to base. When Batman gets powers, it usually goes awry. He tends to misuse them. So we all know Batman's parents shot in an alley. Random chance or giant conspiracy, it depends on the era. Batman tends towards vengeance, and when he gets powers, that is amplified. There are a couple of good examples. We're gonna leave Dawnbreaker alone and hop over to the Batman-Superman team-up series from 2003. During that run, there was a storyline where he traded powers with Superman, and well, he went rogue. He even hurt Dick, which is like the ultimate benchmark for him not being okay. Bruce wouldn't hurt his kids. That's part of why there was so much hate on for that Tom King issue where he backhands Tim across the face. Batman is keeping a lid on a lot of his feelings, and having powers gives him a bit too much reach. He's not a perfect person, which is part of what makes him interesting, but he needs to stay away from powers. Also, with all the other traits he already has, him with powers just gets a bit ridiculous. So those were 10 superheroes better without superpowers. Can you think of anyone else? Are there any you disagree with? Please let me know down below. Thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more nerdy lists. Hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid, and we'll see you again soon. Bye bye.